Hi. Okay, so welcome to week number 10 and our final week in the brief week in our houseboat in Cancer. It's been a very intense week, and I really hope that this time next year when I return to this houseboat, well, I guess it'll be a month ago that this time next year, that that it's much smoother. A much smoother experience. But I have a feeling, well, no, that would be me wanting something that is possibly not in alignment with what my guides and my God want. So it needs to be what it is. No apologies. And I think I've taken extra time. This is a Saturday night. I would normally, it's been a couple of weeks. It's been all of Cancer that we have been off my Wednesday schedule onto a Thursday, Friday, Saturday schedule in terms of posting videos. So I'll try to correct that with Pisces, but frankly, I'm scared to death of the cruise ship at this point. However, I took time because I knew that there was a lot to figure out, and it has certainly paid off. A thing that I would like to point out is I've come up with at least 4 talking points. Thing that happened, Lilith. I'll get to that when I've got a visual in front of me. I'll try to talk about what's visually on the screen, so that the things match. Okay, so there are 4 talking points to start with that came up that are either directly related to house number 4, or in the work that I've done with house number 4 have come to light. The first one, you wouldn't think necessarily Jupiter and wheel energy would be house number 4 anything, but it's I want to talk about that because we have these compass points, yes, on the wheel, like obviously the zodiac, yes, and as I was saying in the previous week, I'm starting to figure out that the nodes and the moon, so moon, Lilith, and the north and south node end up, for me, and probably this, I'm looking for this to be an absolute, yes, I'm looking for to experience what the evidence might be. Never mind what, I mean, yes, we take into consideration everything else that we can research on the net from others and all that, but basically what is this journey teaching us? And so if I want to put, well, you could decide whether you want your moon west or east, but moon, Lilith, and north and south nodes really set everything up. I want to talk about that. Then I want to illustrate what did I want to illustrate about the 4th house, because the positioning, I'm going to illustrate it with my 4th house. Yes. Okay. Also, then I want to talk about what it's like for the sun to go through the 4th house, through Cancer season, through the 4th house that we share. When the sun is our triggers and our instincts, when that season's coming, let's see, because the sun, when we're in that season, when we're in Cancer, the season of it, the sun isn't, it's still in Gemini, but once we hit the constellation, right, then the sun's passing through the constellation of Cancer. Literally, that is what's happening. And so the triggers and the instincts are passing through the Cancerian energy, through the moon energy. And so what does that do to us as a collective? So I want to talk about that. Somebody's almost banging the door. And then I talk about, like, I compare it to which of my houses are in that season, yes? And I count the season as the sign season that everybody in tropical land agrees to as Cancer season. And then when the sun actually technically is going through the constellation, okay? And then based on everything that I can relate to how the nodes, and I really feel like I feel stronger and stronger that I'm correct about this, that if you map out what your nodes are and your moon and your Lilith, and granted that there were other lunar placements, but that gives you 4 cardinal points, yes? I'm left with, now 8th house left me just with my Taurus energy to carry all of my 8th house concerns. And the 4th house leaves me with my Capricorn energy to carry all of the 4th house concerns, based on how everything feeds into my placements. So I'll get into that briefly. And so I find that, so I'm wondering, you know, what's going to become of Virgo, where my North Node actually is. So let me just put these to the side, handle them in order. And then, of course, who's in this house. One thing I want to backtrack for a moment. I've got everything in order and it's in the house. I did go back. These are almost all the quotes from that video about the Cancer sign. It is, "Why is Cancer the name of a star sign and disease? By name explain." And I still have yet to go through the whole video, but the comment section was so invaluable, which of course I talked about back during this week session. But I did get that all done. I still have yet to finish my photo diary. I'm going to take tomorrow to do that. And I have yet to complete my North Node notes and my South Node notes. But by and large, I'm coming to a very strong understanding. I don't even think I'm putting that in the right place, am I? Where's my constellation paper? Somewhere around here. Very good. I know I need to flip it around. Okay. So, in terms of determining who's helping us with this house, all right. Now, of course, this is Sagittarius energy, but that wheel turning. So I'm going to put that in the center of this for a moment, okay? And then right here, now, if I put the moon over here, yes, I could put it here. I'm not sure why or not. I haven't decided. But I have Uranus, I have Aquarius, and now why? Because that's where my moon actually is. My moon placement. Let me get the visual out for what I mean by this, so that it's not, so the, you know, well, like I say, so the visuals match in the audio. Okay? My moon here, my moon is in Aquarius, okay? In actually the 10 of Swords, which is a South Node position. Yay for me. Double South Node, okay? So my moon's in my South Node. Now that gives me the Tower. Now it does also give me the Fool. I should pull that out. I've got it buried with Aries energy, because I do find that 0 for me should match the start of the wheel. But of course, in Kabbalistic Tarot and however many other tarots, this is associated with Aquarius and Uranus. Okay, so I pay homage to that, but for me, it's first house. It sits more better as first house, 11th house. Now, if we wanted to make the case, no, even if we made the case that Aries was a good 12th house as well, that still just pushes Aquarius back even further. So I'm pulling that out to acknowledge it, but now, because my moon is in Aquarius, it associates with the Tower, the star, Saturn as the world, yes, king and queen, queen and king energy, because 11th house energy, for me, because I put Aquarius as 8, 9. Now I've got the 10 of Swords missing because that's the South Node card, but for me it's mastermind thinking. It's 11th house, so that carries king and queen energy for me, or queen and king energy for me. But that's my moon, so let's say that's that compass point, okay? Let's use, like I used before, let's use Lilith. Let's use High Priestess as Lilith, okay? And she's in my Gemini. and I have Gemini as as cardinal. Okay, so I have Aquarius and Gemini. These are my, and she's opposite the moon, right? Okay, this is the point farthest from the moon, and so I've got Aquarius versus Gemini. That is my, right? That is two sides of my compass, okay? Now, North Node is represented by 10 of Cups, okay? Wish fulfillment. Well, no, that's 9 of Cups, but let's just say, what am I trying to say? Now, I have that in Virgo, which I put as the the Knight of Pentacles. For me, he's the Knight of Pentacles, not Taurus, right? But we've gone through this before. And the 5, 6, 7 of Cups. So all the problem solving, okay? That's my North Node. Now, I have a lot of Virgos as spirit guides in my life, okay? And they are, did I say I have a lot of Virgos as spirit guides? Yes, and primarily from the writing side of things, so far as I know. To an alarming degree, the main ones. One of them being Gwendolyn McEwen, and I'm going to come back to her in a minute. She's the first person that I was led to, where as soon as I started reading her poetry, I was like, oh, she writes like I think, but even better than I think, and I feel like I'm supposed to follow in her footsteps. That's the first person I ever felt that about. And it turns out, not only follow in her footsteps, but actually work with her. And she died in 1987. Canadian, well, died. Shall we say died? Oh, look, I've been crying because Marie from Roxette. Okay, wherever it cut off, but Happy Birthday Marie and Joyride was released 2 days after my mom's death. And it's 30 years. And so what's more of a Cancer house experience than that? And today's her birthday, and the sun is still in, well, I won't even go there. Okay. Okay. So, between Aquarius and Gemini. Then I have my Virgo with my North Node. So this is what I would recommend you do for you. Yes. Okay. And my South Node, 10 of Swords, which is another Aquarius card for me. Now, others would say it's a Gemini card. But we know what I did with earth and air energies and how I switched them up, okay? Now I have my South Node right next to my moon. We know this because I said my moon is in, the 10 of Swords, right? My 10 of Swords, my South Node is right next to it. So that's in Pisces. Now what's interesting to me, an opportunity away from something, an opportunity towards something, and these happen in the same years. The Lilith, now what's interesting is Lilith just hit Taurus on Thursday, thereabouts. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, okay, approximately, all right? I made a note on my calendar. I was anticipating having a very polarizing conversation with one of my clients about vaccines. And I was preparing for that, and I had prepared for hours the night before with research and stuff. And I'm not going to say which side of which or whatever, but I was just prepared. I made a note. I was like, yep, since I've decided that Lilith is, about magnetisms and polarities. I was like, well, if Lilith is hitting that day, then absolutely, that's some timing there. Now, what happened is the client I was anticipating to have a conversation with was at work, so I cleaned her home without her being there. In the midst of all that, they timed that I should be given some emotional support by streaming of 2011 Take That concert. If you're familiar with Take That at all, that is my band, that is my group, my happy music, no matter how much mind control they might be connected to. But everything, I write whole books connected in the zone of that music, okay? And music has been coming through very strongly in this house for me, music connections, because my mom was an opera classical singer. And so, so they made sure that while I was cleaning, it was timed and just a few minutes before the stream, I tapped into the stream on YouTube. A huge tower moment between me and a guy I would say was my partner. I'm not even sure though at this point. Well, no, I said goodbye. It was all very, very sudden, and I recognized it as a tower, and I recognized it as something that needed to be accepted. And there wasn't really any negotiating it at that time. And I knew that because the concert was happening at the same time, that they were, you know, holding my hand. Holding my hand. So it ended up absolutely being a little, and I forgot that it was Lilith, even though I'd made a note, and I went back and went, oh damn, okay. She also correlates with the beginning and end of the lawsuits between my son's father and me. He sued me many, many times for 6 years. So see how she relates to your life. We've got the page for her, right? The moon, ages 4, multiples of 4, and multiples of 13. And this has everything to do with, for me, like my mom died just before I turned 13. But again, oh, I know what I wanted to say. What this got me thinking about, what it brought to mind were the cycles of Jupiter. Those 12 years, like 12-ish. Yes, it's actually a little bit less than 12 years that Jupiter takes to go around the sun. But those years, I started wondering, let me just clean up this for a minute. And because there's another thing I get into, but I was considering, I was like, well, the way my energy matches, when I'm in, how can I best illustrate this? This is my mind. My Mercury is in Pisces, but it's in my 5th house. And that's another point to make, okay? But it's affecting my Taurus. Now, and my Aries. Can I say this? What's the best way? It's not that I don't know. It's that there's so much in my mind. The problem is that, okay, this is, where is your 4th house? And I mean, with both placements, right? Okay. And let's see, it's also in, well, where the hell did I put Pisces? Okay. All right. So this is the problem. This is where my 4th houses are, either way, Ibn Ezra, Regiomontanus, or whole house, okay? Between the two of them, that's where my 4th house is. Now, the 4th house is all page energy. Where do I have it? I have it in here somewhere. I have it in here somewhere. That's right. Okay, so this is my problem. How is this page supposed to cope with king and queen concerns, right? So I look at it as we have 4 sets of, we have 4 sets of pages. We have 4 sets of 4 pages, 4 knights, 4 sets of pairs of kings and queens, right? Does your chart actually divide into stages of life where the page is like the first 12 years? Can it correlate to cycles of Jupiter? Because I started matching instances in my life according to the moon, the Lilith, and the north and south nodes, right? What happened when I was 12, 24, and 36? And so I haven't reached 48 yet. I've got 5 more years to go. Do these, when I'm in my page energy in this 4th house, when I'm in my my fourth house, not the fourth house, but my fourth houses, is that my child energy, and I have to complete a full 3 cycles in order to mature, right? To the level of being able to act out properly the king and queen duties, right? If I'm in king and queen energy, as I am in my 7th house, right? Then do I get to, is that how I was as a child? Did I start at, did I start in king and queen? Where does my childhood, my adolescence, my does it follow? Does it follow the wheel? Did Jupiter cycles follow the wheel? And I think perhaps they do. That's my latest hypothesis. So that's what I'm working on. So that's my main point actually about Jupiter. But it's worked out both ways in terms of using it as the compass and as cycles of Jupiter. So that's the next thing. I don't know how well that I haven't translated that very well, articulating it visually. So it could be very confusing for you if I'm over visualizing it. But do I even need to worry about making sense of these? No, I mean, I do have, the reason I bring Aries in and Taurus in is I do have influences on my 4th house from Aries and Taurus. It touches on those houses, at least in the Ibn Ezra Regiomontanus placement, okay? Which also carries my Chiron and my Sun, okay? So, so they touch upon that. I'm gonna just put these to the side. I can't figure out where the heck I want them to go. Now the thing is, between my 2 settings, I noticed that there's a house in between them, in the overlap, or not the overlap, the split. And my 5th house, my Mercury is in 5th house. So my Knight of Wands, all my creativity, I guess, and my thinking are caught between my 4th house. Do I have another way to say this? My Chariot. Where's the Chariot? Where the heck did I put the Chariot? Can I find it? Not sure. Not sure. Can almost make the point. Yeah, I'm using it for Cancer sign, but so the problem of, if my 5th house is stuck in between both 4th houses positions, and then of course it repeats after the 4th house, then I'm looking at 4th house directly affecting my 5th house and my mind. It's all there in between those 2 placements, and then again afterwards. So there's a strong correlation, and this will repeat because obviously that's going to happen with all the other houses, how they overlap and get caught between each other and all that, right? But it's something to think of in terms of it popped out at me in the figuring out of it all. So that I mentioned. So you might want to look at what's between your houses, your 4th houses. Does your 5th, how does it get caught, or in between them, or do the 5th and 6th houses get caught? Okay, camera cut out when I was talking about what houses get caught between your 4th houses. If your 5th and 6th houses are there, or if the 4 houses. Oh, 4th house, house number 4, if it overlaps between the 2 settings, the 2 house settings, what's what? And then I put Jupiter to the side. Okay, so then next, this Cancer, between the sign and the constellation, right? That time of year. So we're talking about the end of June, the last few days of June, possibly, unless I switch this up again. And then July, right? And then into mid-August. That time of year, right? Now specifically the Sun. Now if I stick with the Larry Eli It's not going to hit, we're saying it, but the sun's got to be stuck in Taurus for such a long time now. So it's going to be interesting to see where the sun actually, when it does actually hit Cancer, and how long it takes in Cancer. So we'll monitor that. But while the sun is moving through this chariot energy of Cancer, right? So these cards, what happens to us when the sun collectively is passing through these? And that'll be something to monitor. I'm not even going to try to predict. But this houseboat, well, we do know to some extent, because we know how rough this ride, well, it might have been a completely smooth ride for you. So I'll stick to what I know about what I've experienced while in 4th house, which is that zero tolerance policy that has even claimed, like, basically, I still have my kid talking to me, and that's great. But he's a Libra, and we established, well, Leo rising, and we established our rapport a long time ago. But basically everybody else is, you know. No, I do have my best friend Tracy, absolutely. Karina's mom, yes. So far as I know, we're okay. Everything else is rocky. And that's okay, because I'm Scorpio, and that's how it is. But there were things, the stability, that's the other thing, okay? That's the other thing. This, if I can illustrate it, if you can see this, this is Scorpius's little card that I printed up, okay? And very much with Scorpius energy and that submarine energy, I'm discovering that up and down metabolism, that surfacing, resurfacing, that submerging, that you need to do it slowly, carefully, right? And that's why Scorpios and Scorpions have extremely slow metabolisms, metabolic rates. And they don't eat that often, and they just take everything slow, okay? And if you're going to rise, if you're in a submarine, you have to rise so carefully, you have to sink so carefully, yes? So the vertical balance, the vertical care, the vertical vulnerability of up and down, so the acting, reacting, but again, that I'm not even sure how to articulate it in terms of human form, behavior form, but we have a definite, well, if you think about how quick you can sink, right, in feelings, and other people's feelings, for that matter, not even your own. And then I felt very much the lateral, okay? So we have the longitude and the latitude in this, between Scorpio and Cancer. And sorry about the shadows. But in Cancer, this being on the surface of the water, being on the surface, and everything that's moving this way matters because it's rocking you, right? And to be able to ride the lateral movement. So Scorpio, we're dealing with, I mean, I'm sure Scorpio has to deal with lateral movement as well, but as a visualization, it is primarily, you know, it's, of course it moves laterally. It's a boat, but its speciality is in the vertical, yes? Whereas with Cancer, the emphasis, and then going below, and Cancer, I put the emphasis on surface. And Cancer, like, so the question that comes up even more and more for me is, how can these two houses help each other, right? How do they work together? And Cancer, the houseboat could definitely, you know, if they could signal to each other, then one's on the surface and can say, look, don't surface here, don't surface here, this is not safe, this is not safe, right? Like, how can they look out for each other? And so that's what one thing I'm gonna pay attention to once we get to the water story, is that vertical versus horizontal balance and pacing, yes? And then how does the cruise ship, oh Pisces, how does the cruise ship interact with all that as well, okay? So when we're all going through this energy, this zero tolerance energy, so I really, I'm starting to feel like wherever it is we want to get to, it's somewhere through the constellation of Cancer. Like home is that way. That's what I feel like. If Earth isn't the greatest, well, this whole universe isn't the greatest place, right? But so this is what we want to, I'm going to chart this, keep track of this once we reach that time in this. And so right now, the sun's moving through Taurus. So let's just balance that with, like right now, the sun is moving through something that I knew was at the end, and I'm still fighting my way through to get it to it, because even though, right? So right now, Page of Pentacles energy, right? That's where the sun is right now. That's where all our triggers and instincts are collectively right now. And the question is, how is it affecting us on a personal level, layered in with our own experiences? And that would be something to journal. Probably I'll do, at some point I'll go back and do an analysis, right? Sometimes it just takes noting in the moment and then going back and doing a diagnostic review, right? Okay, so sun in Cancer. What else did I want to talk about? Because for me, I have my 7th, 8th, and 9th. My Jupiter is there. My Jupiter's in Gemini. My Lilith is in Gemini. So my Mars and Saturn, as we've said, are there. Which connects to, of course, Aries, Scorpio through Mars, and then Saturn, Capricorn, and Aquarius, right? And of course, Cancer is right across from Capricorn. So that is how I end up. Now I've lost Capricorn in all of this. Where the hell did I put Capricorn? Because that's all that, this is all that doesn't get tied up in the rest of calculating my moon placements, my nodes, to so from one extreme. So the 8th house represents my Taurus, the 4th house represents my Capricorn. It all hinges on my activities here. So for me, that's fascinating to end up with that. So what does it end up with for you? Now, there are other things I wanted to talk about, because I still need to, I'll get to this part. There are so many guides that are coming through. And I'm gonna get into that. I'll touch on it before we get into Pisces, because we're gonna talk about muses anyway in Pisces. But I can say heavily musical. They've really so hit me with so much in this one in terms of taking me back to roots that I wasn't even sure I wanted to go back to. There's a composer that they led me to, Hania Rani, Polish, and that's completely devastated me. Because she is the other me. If I were somebody else in this life, doing something else in this life, having struggled for it, it would be doing it. It's like looking at, well, it's a doppelganger, so she is completely her own thing. I'm not, I'm not trying to be weird about anything, but you just see somebody else sometimes, and it's just sort of like, that's a version of me, but it's not, it's her. But there's no way, it's not it's deeper, it's not a jealousy. It's like, because I know how much work it would take for her to be who she is, because I did spend 8 years with music, piano myself, and was forced into it. So it's technique. I know this as a drawer. I know this as a drawing instructor. It's like, at some point you have to commit to, in high school, when my son was in high school, it's like, at some point the commitment to band was so huge, it was taking away all his other opportunities. And like, well, do you want band that much that you're willing to give up the other things that you're extremely passionate about? Or is it just time to start choosing the big, making the big decisions about who you are, who you're going to commit to being, right? So yeah, I think We had Saturn go retro, and this is quite the week. We had Saturn go retrograde. We had people saying that other planets went hit placements that they didn't hit. So you know, that's all. I started confronting some people about that. Is there anything else I want to talk about? I think that's about it for now, because I don't have the context. I need to print it up. I need to print up the photo diary is what I need to do. Where is it? Where's the blank photo diary page? It's not there. It's going to be on the other side of this one, isn't it? No, it's not. Okay. There it is. There it is. So, okay, so I've been rambling too long. So I got to the point where I was like, there it is, there it is. Then the camera cut out and I kept talking. But I've been making notes. I have to actually, I've got a lot of the photo work done. I need to, it's good. I'm glad that the camera stopped and I had to revisit this for the photo diary. And as a visual, just in case the audio is confusing you, right? Photo diary. So, I need to get a grip on my diary. I need to get a grip on how much I keep track of, or how much they want me to keep track of, and I need to keep track of less. That's what I need to do. Especially since I don't have a lot of happy personal, I mean, I spend a lot of time with my clients, honestly, hours and hours, and that's what and I ended up spending a lot of extra time with clients lately, helping them with problems that have nothing to do with cleaning. And one such situation took an extra 4 hours. Why? Because you know, things need to be turned around somehow, and so this work needs to be done. This Cancerian work needs to be done. But yeah, I see, the thing is, and then I don't have a lot of personal photos up anywhere because of what happened with the lawsuits with my kid. My kid likes to keep things separate. Well, he's 21 now, but even so, for years, we've kept everything off of social media by and large because he didn't want the other side to see and then comment and then use it, right? So life became very private. Then friends don't understand why I'm not posting stuff, even though I explain it, right? But it just doesn't click. It's like you end up in this Scorpio lifestyle of like, well, okay, privacy issues, secrets, and then I end up in quiet, down low, romantic relationships, right? And then, not that I want to, it's just, once you have an aura around you of being private and personal because other people have wanted you to be, not only that, like, not only just I'm not putting it on my kid, but because he's not responsible for what the other half of the family do, right? But also my personal family that I come from, it's large, it's spread out, but the immediate is very small. My mom disowned her mom when she was once I was 2 years old because her mom was abusive. She was made to tell her dad to leave and never come back when she was 6 years old. So there's just my mom. When on my mom's side, there's just my mom. That's all. Professional singer mom with nobody. And so between her and me, and then my dad's mom, my grandma. Now, I went and got my mom's birth certificate rephotographed. I redid her birth chart. That's all going to go into the photo diary. I do have... Turn the fridge off. I do have my grandma, this is another person that was she looked after me a lot while my mom was sick. So this is my dad's mom, and she was Violet Rose, and she was born in Shoreditch in London. And I do have her birth certificate. I sent away for it paid for it a few years ago, and now I'm scrambling to figure out what the hell I did with it, because I wanted to get a UK ancestry visa and go back and, you know, spend time there. And I put it somewhere. I got emotional one day and I put it somewhere, and now I can't figure out where the hell I put it. So that's going to be another quest, a Cancerian quest, for the next few weeks or however long it takes. But by and large, I've really severed ties with pretty much everybody I'm related to, and not for nice reasons. They were very painful reasons, and so I have a very, you know, I ended up spilling myself out into, you know, causes, or the one cause anyway. But then I have a huge number of people on the other side in the spirit world, or they're probably more three-dimensional than us. I have so much contact with them. I did go out of body. I went out of body last week, and I'm not fond of that. But they took me to some stuff that they needed to show me for the Sloan Bella case, and I've decided to like distance myself from the Sloan Bella case because she went public with information that I gave her. Not that I'm not already polarized against who I went after who I suspect. This is the death of her son in a hit and run in last July in Los Angeles, and you can find her on YouTube, Sloan Bella. So anyway, all of these things, lots has been happening. I need to get into the photo diary, but there's so much, so it's a little bit overwhelming to make sure that I go back through my phone, because it's all dated, right? And then make photo collages like these, right? And the question is balancing that against output versus input, right? So it's pulling back on things that I care about, that I felt, well, and the thing is that I needed to do it. It's how I found myself, or it's how they helped develop me. And at the same time, there's, then the world card shows up, and it's like, okay, time to close that out, because they've achieved what they needed to achieve with me in that. Okay. What am I saying? I'm saying looking after yourself in this houseboat. It would be nice to enjoy the houseboat. That's what I would like. I think that's what we would all like, is to enjoy our houseboats. Enjoy our personal space. Very immediate. Clear out the energies of who you're dealing with in the spirit world, in the 3D world, right? Like, just establish yourself. And in a way that is like, everybody always looks at Cancerians as being, you know, this backwards, forwards. It's because Cancerians are always getting gaslighted by everybody. The yes, no, like the wanting, and the, like, people just don't get it. They don't get it, and they don't get their own inner Cancerian. Everybody's got Cancer in their chart. Everybody's a Cancerian to some degree. And they need to dig into that and make their peace with it, and understand what it is to be that home base. So that's where I leave it for now, and I will come back as we start into the Pisces houseboat. Pisces cruise ship, right? Next week. Well, in a few days. I'll be back Wednesday, Thursday with Pisces. And yeah, I'm gonna shut up now, okay? But I really feel like this is probably not to undermine anybody else's house, but I feel like this is maybe the big one. Everybody's house matters. Everybody's house matters. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. What am I saying? It all comes back to this one at some point until it's all resolved. It's just that zero tolerance policy. This is the zero. So it's very interesting. But I mean, I say that now. See what that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling. And I really feel like, for me, the idea was that they were wanting me to do was to put the heavy duty work up front, to get you squared up as quickly as possible, to basically, you know, optimize the rest of the chart, the rest of the houses. So, if that makes any sense, and I will be back in a few days. Thank you. Much love.